The last day of the Orion War wasn't marked by victory or surrender. It was marked by silence. Captain Jace Thorne, once a proud soldier of the Terran Command, stood in the ruins of the burned city of Lumeis, his pulse rifle hot and shaking in his hands. The enemy, the Carrot Dominion, had finally fallen back, leaving nothing but ash and bodies. Then he heard it, a faint whimper behind the cracked walls of a collapsed temple. He forced his way through debris and heat until he found a small, terrified girl crouched beside the body of a Carrot soldier, her guardian, dead. She wasn't human. Her silver skin shimmered faintly in the smoke, her eyes large and bioluminescent. Jace froze. A Carrot child. The enemy. She looked up at him, voice trembling. "Please, don't hurt me." Something in her tone, fear, innocence, exhaustion, pierced deeper than any wound the war had given him. Against every protocol, every order, he lowered his rifle. "I'm not going to hurt you," he said softly. "What's your name?" "Elira," she whispered. That was the moment Jace Thorne stopped fighting the war. A promise in the ashes. Jace carried her across the wasteland for days, hiding from both Terran patrols and Carrot hunters. She was barely 8 years old, speaking only fragments of the human tongue. He learned she was the daughter of Queen Ceres, ruler of the Carrot Dominion, the very woman Terran Command had sworn to destroy. Every rational thought told him to turn her in. She was the ultimate bargaining chip. But each night, when he watched her sleep beside the campfire, he remembered the hollow screams of his own sister, who had died in a bombing years ago. He couldn't let another child be consumed by this endless hatred. One evening, Elira asked, "Why do humans hate us?" He didn't have an answer. He only said, "Because we forgot what it means to see each other as people." She tilted her head, blinking those luminous eyes. "Then maybe you should look harder." The hunter and the hunted. Word spread fast. The Terran High Command wanted him executed for desertion. The Carrot Queen wanted her daughter found, dead or alive, depending on who reached her first. For 3 months, Jace and Elira became ghosts. They stole food from military supply pods, hijacked broken vehicles, and slept in the hulls of derelict ships. Elira grew stronger, learning to hide her glowing skin beneath a tattered human cloak. One night, as they crossed the frozen plains of Epsilon 4, Carrot trackers cornered them. Jace fought like a man possessed, using every bullet and ounce of fury he had left. He killed 3 of them before the last warrior, tall, armored, eyes burning, raised his blade over Elira. Without thinking, Jace threw himself between them. The blade plunged into his side. Pain exploded through him. Elira screamed, and something inside her ignited. The air shimmered. The snow turned to blue flame. The Carrot warrior dropped, paralyzed by a force that made the ground quake. When Jace awoke hours later, his wound sealed, Elira was crying quietly beside him. "I didn't mean to," she whispered. "It just happened." He looked at the melted snow around them. "What are you?" Her voice shook. "Mother said, I was born with the starfire, the old power, the one only the queens can command." He realized then that he wasn't protecting just a child. He was carrying a living weapon across a galaxy that wanted her blood. The queen's eyes. Eventually, they were found. Not by soldiers, but by the queen herself. The Carrot flagship descended in a roar of light above the plains. Columns of radiant energy pierced the ice, and from them emerged the Queen Ceres, towering, elegant, her presence both regal and terrible. Jace raised his weapon, though he knew it was useless. Elira ran forward. "Mother!" Ceres knelt, gathering her daughter with trembling hands. Her eyes, bright as dying stars, turned to Jace. "You protected her," she said, her voice a low hum that vibrated in the bones. "Why?" "Because no one else would," he answered simply. For a long time, Ceres studied him. Then she said, "You should have left her to die." It would have been merciful. I don't believe that, Jay said. I believe she deserves to live, not as a weapon, not as your heir, but as a child. The Queen's expression flickered. Sorrow, anger, maybe even admiration. You speak like one who has lost too much. Maybe that's why I understand what's worth saving. The trial of the stars. Instead of killing him, Serdis took Jace aboard her flagship as a prisoner. For weeks, he was interrogated, tested, watched. Yet the Queen herself visited him often. She asked questions no general ever would. What drives your kind to destroy? Would you still fight, knowing you were wrong? Jace answered honestly, sometimes angrily, sometimes quietly. He told her of humanity's fear, of the endless hunger for control. And she told him of her people's arrogance, their pride in being chosen by the stars. Over time, the hatred between them eroded into something unexpected, understanding. When Elira visited him one evening, she smiled. Mother says you confuse her, that she dreams now. She never used to. Jace laughed softly. Maybe she's remembering what peace looks like. But peace was fragile. The Terran fleets had discovered the Queen's location. A massive assault was coming. Serdis faced a choice, flee and survive, or stay and fight. And she made another, quieter choice. She came to Jace's cell and said, You saved my daughter, now I will save you. He shook his head. Not without her. You would die for her, she asked. I already did once. The Queen closed her eyes, and for the first time, Jace thought he saw tears. The battle for the child. The Terran struck at dawn, a sky full of fire. Jace stood beside Serdis and Elira on the command bridge. Your people will kill you if they see you here, the Queen warned. Then I guess I'm one of yours now, Jace said, gripping a plasma rifle. As the fleets collided, Elira stood in the center of the bridge, her small hands trembling. The energy around her began to rise again, the same starfire that had melted the snow on Epsilon 4. Stop her, Jace said. If she unleashes that, she'll end the war, Serdis replied. But she'll die. The Queen hesitated. The galaxy seemed to hold its breath. Then she whispered, Then protect her, human. Jace ran to Elira's side, kneeling beside her as light consumed the ship. Listen to me, he said, his voice firm. You don't need to destroy them. Just stop them. Make them see. Her eyes met his, glowing brighter than the stars outside. And then the light burst outward, silent and infinite. Epilogue. The Queen's vow. When Jace woke, the war was over. The Terran and Kara fleets hung motionless, their weapons dead. The light Elira unleashed had neutralized every energy source across the system. No one could fight even if they wanted to. He found Serdis kneeling beside her daughter, alive, barely. The Queen looked at him and whispered, You've taken everything from me, human, my hatred, my reason to fight. Jace bowed his head. Then take me instead. She rose, towering and radiant. You misunderstand. Captain, you will not die. You will live beside us. The galaxy will heal, and you will help us shape it. He opened his mouth to protest, but her gaze silenced him. You protected my child, she said. Now, human, you are under the protection of the Queen. And as her ship rose into the dawn of a new age, Jace realized he was no longer a soldier of Earth.